I mean, there's an aphorism of Sri Chinmoy's that some people attribute to Jimi Hendrix, but it just turns out that Hendrix was a fan of this particular saying of Sri Chinmoy's, where he said, when the power of love replaces the love of power, man and woman will have a new name, God.
Amen.
And that's the crux of what you're saying too. It's like, do you want to love power, or do you want to be harnessed by the power of love? They're two diametrically opposed realities. One leads us to destruction, one leads us to enlightenment. And the choice is so simple, but unfortunately, it's a choice that either people are unaware of, or don't want to make.
Well, you see, the thing is, Sanjay, is to make a choice like that, you have to be conscious. And I think one of the challenges we have with scientific materialism, the education systems that we're in, were built by plantation owners specifically to train the children of slaves to do repeated procedures, not be creative, and to follow orders. Ken Wilber explains that very beautifully when you look at the history of our education systems. Religion is, unfortunately, corporate religion is very much a system of programming people to behave exactly how they want them to behave. And we have, the myth of modern man is consumerism. And people don't realize that we're actually trying to fill a spiritual emptiness by buying and buying and buying and consuming. But we're literally reaching the bottom of the barrel, where nature can't really survive the myth of consumerism. And it's interesting too, because one of my favorite definitions of myth is something that never happened, but is happening all the time. And so when you look really into the silence and into the mysteries of what God is all about, what's at the core of all religions, well, the mystery is God. And there's no objective way to define what is or isn't God. You can't do that objectively, just like you can't weigh and measure love. But what's happening all the time is this expression of love. And in order for us to see it and to realize it and to participate in it, we've got to be able, as a world community, to break out of our unconscious programming and to wake up and say, wait a minute, the supermarket's not going to be full forever. Wait a minute, we can't abuse animals in massive corporate farms, and we can't destroy the earth, and we can't, we have to, we have plenty of science showing that plants are very sentient beings. We've got an entire tradition of shamanism explaining that the medicines that they made, many of which were stolen by the drug manufacturers and then remanufactured synthetically as medicines, but people don't realize that a lot of the drug formulas actually came from shaman who got their formulas from the plant consciousness, from the plant beings themselves. So if we don't get out of our slumber, which we're being programmed into by corporations at all time to keep buying and buying, then unfortunately the pain teacher is going to arrive, and we're going to have to we're going to have to go through a conscious awakening through the sacrifice that really goes right back to Christ on the cross.